Now, new video of gunman James Hodgkinson speaking in his own words. This happened at an anti-Wall Street Occupy protest in Illinois back in 2011. Watch.
The 99% are getting pushed around, and the 1% are just not giving a.
Bernie Sanders supporter, he was echoing comments from other politicians. Listen.
A world in which 1% of humanity controls as much wealth as the other 99% will never be stable.
Since the crash, too many of the gains have gone to the top 1%.
The United States should not be a nation in which the top 1/10 of 1% now own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
Let's take it to the political power panel. Washington Times contributor, look who's here, Eric Schiffer, and conservative review correspondent Deneen Borelli are with me now. Deneen, the shooter said he was tired of the 1%. He's really big about Bernie Sanders-style income inequality. But, you know, the problem with his thinking, I mean, look, when you've read it, what are the policies that are creating the 1%, and what other policies will get more people prosperous and into the 1%, right?
What are the policies?
Yeah.
Well, that would be lower taxes and less spending. Those are and that would help all Americans. But getting to the shooter, Liz, I got to tell you, first of all, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. I mean, this was a horrible thing for us to wake up to the other day. But this guy had such deep-seated hatred towards Republicans, towards President Trump, and I got to tell you, the propaganda that is coming from the left is vile, is vicious. This guy was clearly unstable, and that rhetoric that we have been seeing over the last several months, even last year, coming from the left, has resulted, I think, in this individual acting the way that he did.
What do you think, Eric?
Look, I think we have some issues with this global elite, and I think that there are many people who voted for Donald Trump who are against the global elite, who are not paying taxes, who are not taking responsibility as Americans to, make any type of contribution. And I think that it's bad, and there's certainly something that should be done about that. But I don't think this is just a Democratic issue. I think it's also Republican. At the same time, with this kind of situation, the whole thing is not, this is not the way to handle it. You don't handle it with death and destruction and killing and maiming of people. Not good.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't happen. We should be able to handle this civilly in an intelligent way and make good arguments and do it as Americans together. And in some way, the negativity that happened, it may, just like 9/11, it may actually bring us together. And it's unfortunate that that's what it has to take, but it's good that we're starting to come together in some way.
Yeah, it's a good point. Deneen, Mike Huckabee has said people in the past would riot to get their voices heard. Now they're rioting to not have other people's voices heard. But, Eric makes a point that the Trump voter, too, was upset about government policies that have created an imbalance in society. So the shooter should have been listening to what Trump was saying, right?
Well, listen, what you don't do is take matters, especially with this situation, into your own hands. And again, we have Democrat leaders who could have put the squash on the vile rhetoric that has been coming from the left, Hollywood elites with the Kathy Griffin, Madonna. There's a long list of what they've been saying, and I'm telling you, this individual acted on it, and I hope and pray that no one else does the same, because that's the last thing our country needs.
Thank you, Deneen and Eric. Good to see you.